Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a watch that won the 2004 GPHG Aiguille d'Or as the best overall watch of the year, as awarded at the Oscars of watchmaking. So this is an impressive timepiece based on F.P. Journe's first ever watch, the 1999 Tourbillon Remontoir. The Tourbillon Souverain, technically the continuation of the original model, was upgraded with a number of aesthetic elements, including a solid deadbeat seconds display and a rose gold movement for the 2004 model year. So this watch is pink on pink on pink, as vintage collectors would call it. So solid gold, rose gold matte dial, solid rose gold 40 millimeter case, solid rose gold movement. Now, at 40 millimeters in diameter, this watch is nice and slim at 10.1 millimeters thick, and it is 48.1 millimeters lug-to-lug with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist. It's an outstanding size. As you can see, the watch is very flat with a domed bezel. It will slide underneath the cuff, and I can recommend it, given its size, for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. You can see down the barrel in particular that the lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist, and that on both sides. It is a hefty watch. With a solid gold dial, case, and movement, it feels like a much bigger timepiece on the wrist. There's a reassuring solidity to it. Now, Jean Rousseau of Paris makes the OEM F.P. Journe straps. So the factory straps at Journe are made by Jean Rousseau. This is a Jean Rousseau strap that we ordered custom because we liked the look of calfskin and brown against the rose gold. Now you can see that it is calfskin, thickly bolstered to give it volume. Though many thick straps use a sheer cut side, this one actually has a folded side with a monotone stitch. And as you could see, it uses the same spring bars that Journe uses. So the pull tab spring bar allows you to pull the strap out of the lugs without using a tool. Because the lugs are drilled relatively close to the case, a proper strap on one of these watches will have a curved spring bar, so the strap can move unimpeded by the case flank, and that's exactly what we have right here. We have a F.P. Journe rose gold matching pin buckle, and then we have the case itself. There's a broad domed bezel, sheer mid case that's very narrow and defined by the overlapping lip of the case back in the bezel. And then we have integrated tapered short lugs. We have a double dimpled, narrow knurled F.P. Journe crown. It's a bit of an iconic piece in its own right. The dial itself is media blasted and includes polished stainless steel bezel for the features of the dial, and then polished dial side bolts. And this was a controversial feature when Journe debuted it in 1999. Over time, it's become a signature of the brand, universally copied and admired, so it was a real trendsetter. We have our deadbeat second, we have our hours and minutes, and we have our tourbillon. The tourbillon effectively acts as a sweep seconds display, as it is a 1-minute tourbillon. As you could see, it is free sprung, adjusted in 6 positions. That you can't see. You can see it's free sprung. It is adjusted in all standard positions, giving inaccuracy no place to hide. And unlike most Journe watches, the tourbillon uses an overcoil hairspring, so regardless of its position, it will keep very good time, as that hairspring will develop concentrically in any position. It has a very centered mass. Now, the watch has a manual wind 42-hour power reserve. Because F.P. Journe wants all of his chronometer-inspired watches to work like chronometers. They're exceptional timekeepers, and they include marine chronometer-style power reserves, so they indicate 0 when fully wound, just like a marine chronometer would. 0 hours since fully wound. That's what that means. Because you'd wind a marine chronometer every 24 hours, so you wanted to know 24 hours elapsed, not how much power reserve was left on a marine chronometer. We have a deadbeat seconds display that's geared to the Remontoir d'égalité constant force device. Now, the Remontoir is functional for 28 of the 42 hours, so if you wind the watch at the same time every day, the constant force device, which jumps 1-second bursts of energy from the barrel to the escapement, that will maintain constant balance amplitude. Now, because it stores up 1 second of energy on this linear titanium spring, it is this spring, and not the mainspring barrel, that transmits the energy to the escapement. So for 28 hours, the escapement receives constant force. When Journe first created his prototype Tourbillon Remontoir in 1991, it was a world premiere, a Remontoir d'égalité in a tourbillon wristwatch. So this is a constant force tourbillon. Now, after 28 hours, the deadbeat second system will disengage, the Remontoir will disengage, and to keep the watch running, it will default to scrolling seconds. So if you see sweep seconds on the sub-register, you need to wind the watch. Now, the movement is made entirely of rose gold, with the exception of the silver and black polished parts. Those are made of steel. As you can see, there are stripes or Côte de Genève. We have anglage on the edge of the bridges, as well as on the edge of the steel parts. You can see mirror finished with diamond paste to give it that specular shine. We also have black polished screw heads with chamfered slots. There's solarization with a deep grooved graining on both the crown wheel and the ratchet wheel. We have a fully finished click and click spring inspired by pocket watch architectures, and then satinated wheels. It's a 26 jewel movement. You can see it's caliber 1403, which means 14 French lean in the old French measurement. So that's the diameter. And then 03 is the year Journe started work on the movement. That's how Journe movement numbers work. You can also see that this is a 30-meter water-resistant watch, so don't take it swimming. And you can see why I mentioned it as a chronometer-style power reserve, chronomètre à tourbillon. And of course, we have one of the French-made Eleanor cases. You can see Eleanor's maker's mark, and then a double stamp next to it. That's French hallmarking. From his first pocket watches in the 1980s through about mid-2008, Journe used Eleanor, a French case maker outside of Paris. In 2008, he bought the company, moved it to Geneva. It became Boîtier de Genève. It is still his case factory today, but it's considered in-house, and the work is done in Switzerland, so you no longer get the Eleanor maker's mark and the French eagle stamp. So these are, in many ways, discontinued watches. First, because the model's not made anymore, and second, because they're not making any more Eleanor cases, period. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.